Cape and Cowl by Artimae and Postscript. Chapter 5. 1. July 13th, 1007. Oops. That's all I can say. I've never taken into account the remote possibility that more than one pony looks alike. I saw whom I thought was my second target, only for it to be a random masoner. It's strange, he didn't even seem to mind, even acknowledged it was a mistake for me. Frankly, I was worried that a random attack would have soured his opinion of the mare-do-well, especially after that bright smile he gave upon my approach. I must have more supporters than I know. But it didn't. He was never once scared, only confused. Then again, what would an upstanding citizen have to fear, other than the remote possibility that the mare-do-well is a psychopath? Even though Mort shrugged off the attack for the misunderstanding it was, I need to make it up to him. I will make it up to him. Later, though. For now, sleep. Snowstorm. 2.
Kid,
An astonished-looking Flint said to his cadet the next morning.
the captain wants to speak with you personally.
Captain Leaf? Pelleas blanched, almost feeling the color drain from his face. No one saw Captain Leaf personally. Not for anything good, at least.
Better not keep him waiting, kid,
Flint said, his tone unusually serious. He led the younger to Captain Leaf's office, almost looking worried.
Whatever he says, just nod and agree. Oh, and don't waste his time. He hates that. Good luck.
Pelleas tried to swallow, only to find his mouth had gone dry. What could the captain possibly want with him? Cadet Pelleas of the Night Guard. The tone was sharp, authoritative, like a blade that had been honed on only the finest of grindstones. It came from the other side of a chair, facing a large circular window. From the chair, the sole occupant could see nearly a mile across the western end of the city. Sir! Pelleas clicked his hose together in a salute and stood at attention, even holding in his breath, lest it be out of place. Cadet, I have chosen you to lead one of the most important missions I have given a cadet in many years now. You know of the masked menace that has suddenly taken it upon herself to deliver her own warped brand of justice on our fair city, he asked. The mare-do-well? Yes. I want this mare captured, alive, and I want you to be the one to do it. Are you interested? Permission to speak freely, sir? Granted. What's your angle? The cadet stared suspiciously at his captain. This type of thing would be better suited for a superior. Why me? The captain held his stern gaze. Because, he said, pouring himself a drink, you've gotten closer than anyone to her. Oh, don't give me that look. I'm the captain. It's my job to know everything that goes on in this city. As I understand it, you were speaking to her last night. I have eyes and ears everywhere, cadet. Yes, sir. Pelleas shuffled in place, growing increasingly uncomfortable. The suggestion danced on the tip of his tongue, but if the captain decided it wasn't worth the effort. Captain Leaf raised his eyebrow, levitating a full glass of amber liquid over to the youthful cadet. Something you wish to say? Pelleas sighed. Any good idea was worth a shot. Sir, the mare-do-well could be a valuable ally. If the guard becomes her friend instead of her enemy, he suggested, bracing himself for the backlash. Be that as it may, my orders come directly from the mare. There was a brief hesitation, Pelleas noted, as if Captain Leaf had meant to say something or someone else. And my hooves are tied for this one. Captain Leaf turned away, staring out at the city. In the end, we can only do what we are allowed. I imagine that must frustrate certain ponies in power to no end. A force of change in this city they can't control or subdue with bribery or threats. His voice trailed off. The Red Hoof, Pelleas said flatly. Everyone in the know knew that the mayor himself was nothing but a figurehead, a spineless little gelding afraid to stand up to what was essentially a power-hungry bully. Precisely. Do you know why the Red Hoof so rarely attacks the guard in this city? Because we have an understanding. He leaves us alone, and in turn we leave his lesser criminal activities untouched. Gambling, extortion, diamondized production and distribution. These are a small price to pay to keep violent thugs from overrunning our city, killing in our streets. Our numbers are too few to stand a chance against his forces, not if they all struck at once. It would be a massacre. He sighed, downing the rest of his drink. Choose your next words carefully, cadet, he said coldly, noting Pelleas' sour expression. I can tolerate a little gumption, but outright insubordination will see you thrown from our ranks. Has there ever been anything like a mare-do-well to counteract the Red Hoof before? Pelleas asked pointedly. No, and I believe that is what frightens our superiors so much. Captain Leaf grunted, remembering his own youth and how he'd wanted to bring down the whole empire by himself. He's facing an outside force for the first time in his career, one that actually stands a chance of undermining his efforts at every turn. He's become desperate to try and prove that she's just another mare, wants to crush her under his hoof and show her broken body to the world, a reminder of who really runs this city. And as much as I hate to say it, we have to help him. If we refuse, he'll wipe us out, threaten our friends, our families, until everything we fought for is gone. You may not understand this yet, but good and evil stop meaning a damn thing when your loved one is the one about to pay. I have a daughter I have to protect, cadet. If that means bringing down the city's one hope, then so be it. But if this mare-do-well is supposedly only one pony, then so is the Red Hoof. No, the mare-do-well is one pony. The Red Hoof controls hundreds. Half of the city's criminals work for him, and the other half are smart enough to keep their distance. She'd have to fight more ponies than even she could possibly handle just to get a glimpse of them. They're nothing but thugs, sir, Pelleas said, trying to ignore his growing frustration. The guard is trained. We can even request assistance from Canterlot. The city of the sisters? Who'd even dare commit a crime there? They can spare a garrison or two. We would lose too many guards, the captain said bluntly. It's not so easy to try and wipe out crime when you know you'd be sending ponies to their deaths along the way. Captain Leaf grimaced at Pelleas' expression. It was like looking into a mirror back in time. It's an imperfect solution, but it's the best we've got. If you can think of better without putting the lives of every guard and many innocent civilians on the line, I'd love to hear it. So we just let the city rot in its own crime-infested stew and not live up to our own standards? What about the other cities? Philadelphia, Baltimore, Chicago? They don't have the sort of scum we have to deal with. They don't have a Red Hoof. And there's a reason that the first case of child murder in Equestria for over a century happened in our city and not theirs, cadet, Captain Leaf said sternly. Even amongst the city of these lands, we're infamous. As much as I trust the guards under me with my life, I know that we're outnumbered 3-1. We can't do what you're suggesting. Fine then, Pelleas conceded, knowing there was no more point in arguing. They'd just start going in circles sooner or later. But what if I convince the mare-do-well to be on our side? She seems to be looking for something, or someone specific. If we can give it to her, she can trust us. Is she now? Yes, we can use that. Tell me, cadet, does she trust you? The captain grinned suddenly, his mind swirling. I don't think so, sir. I'd be surprised if she trusted any pony. Well then, earn her trust. We'll need you to make her trust you implicitly before we stand a chance of bringing her in. I take it you can handle that. And what happens if we do bring her in? If you're really neck deep in the Red Hoof's pocket, she'll be in trouble for sure. She's only a threat as long as she's out there unchecked. The second we take her off the streets, the second the Red Hoof will have no reason to want to hurt her, providing she stays off of said streets. He's not so unreasonable as to attack a pony he no longer sees as a threat. I've known him long enough to understand that much about him. Pelleas sighed, seeing no other way out of this, except for one. Sir, half of the city is starting to turn to her side. They see her as a beacon. If we go after her, we could have a massive riot. And if we don't, the Red Hoof will come down on us like a ton of bricks. If I had to choose between facing a civilian riot and one orchestrated by the Red Hoof, I'd take the civilian every time. But I tell you what, you clearly believe in this mare. I cannot officially condone you supporting her efforts to help the city. But if you can come up with a plan within the next week, I will be open to discussing it. Well, the cadet chewed the inside of his cheek, internally debating whether or not to bring up a word, or rather, a name he'd heard last night. Surely Captain Leaf would know of him, and if not, his contact most definitely would. If you have something to say, spit it out. I'm in no mood for games, cadet. Not with the red hoof breathing down my neck and half the city ready to call for my dismissal the second I dare follow the mayor's orders. I can't believe I'm about to actually lie to the captain. Actually, sir, there was an unrelated matter, if I may call upon your expertise. The captain breathed out, almost relieved to be away from the previous line of discussion. Fine, but it had better be important. Not to be snippy, but I'm rather busy tonight. It is, sir. It's about a criminal named Facade. His name was dropped the other night in a bust. Oh? And what is the importance of this? Perhaps he knew of the criminal being arrested. Call it a hunch. If you don't know this pony. Oh, I know of him well enough, the captain interrupted, barking out a laugh. An arrogant little punk. Once a small-time crook who lucked out at the Las Pegasus casinos a few years back. Now he thinks he's untouchable. What of him? Think we got enough evidence to tie him to your bust? Accomplice, maybe. Like I said, just a hunch. It's frankly embarrassing to even have to ask, since you must have far more important matters, sir. But would you have any idea where he could be? Facade? Probably in one of the large warehouses down by the docks, shipping and receiving. As for the business regarding the mare-do-well, well, you have a week to give me something I can take to the mayor. Until then, that will be all, cadet. He stood at attention, saluting the cadet as Pelleas turned to leave. Yes, sir. Pelleas returned the salute and walked out of the captain's office. Oh, I'll earn the mare-do-well's trust all right. Thanks for the info, Captain. 3. Snowstorm, Primrose is at the door. Says you two had a girls' night out planned a while back? Mrs. Orange grinned. Snowstorm winced, swearing the old dame had said that more loudly than usual in an effort to get her husband's attention. Best not keep her waiting, dear. Come on, out of bed, she said cheerfully, knocking on the door to her room. For a sweet old dame, she certainly enjoyed being a bother sometimes. Snowstorm grunted, rolling out of the bed and onto her wobbling legs. For the love of Luna, when was the last time she even had a decent sleep? She yawned, dragging herself to the wardrobe for something decent to wear, swearing to herself that when her mission was satisfied, she'd take a good long time off from that mare-do-well business. If she even decided to keep it up at all. Hey, Snowy, it's ladies' night at the Headless Horse. Come on, I'm buying, Primrose said, practically bouncing around Snowstorm's room, apparently not having been content to just wait at the front door. I don't drink, she wrote down. Why couldn't that mare ever get it through her head? I know, her friend whispered, but I need an excuse to get you to come along. I know a way we can trap Facade that'll work for sure, but I'll tell you the details when we're there. It's not your concern. Returning to her wardrobe, Snowstorm began to debate going out at all, or just slipping into the suit. It would probably hurt Prim's feelings, of course, but it was better than having her get involved in matters well beyond her ability to handle. Well, all right, but I heard about what happened last night. Do you really want to risk humiliating yourself like that again, when you have a guaranteed means of finding the real thing? Prim said from outside the window. An unwise thing to bring up, but at least there was some distance between them. Snowstorm decided to ignore her comment and galloped into the city. Besides which, she had a new avenue to explore, one where Primrose couldn't possibly get hurt. 4. You look like a mare who could use a drink, the Headless Horse's barkeep said, pouring a hard liquor for Primrose, who slumped at his bar. Rough night? Drinks are pricey, but listening's free. My best friend's on the warpath, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I still have feelings for my ex, even though he's... Well, let's just say I have no reason to ever forgive him. Let me guess. Stallion cheated on you, you cried to your friend, she's one of them crazy types who'll defend your honor to the death, and now she's furious that he'll hurt you? I see it all the time. He killed someone who mattered to me, and I never even knew. For a whole year, he lied to me about it. He made me so happy. I was almost ready to move on, but it was all a lie. If it weren't for my friend, I'd never have even learnt the truth, Prim said, draining her glass in a single go. Oh, the barkeep said, suddenly uncomfortable. Ponies killing other ponies under the watchful eye of the sisters. What was this world even coming to anymore? Did you turn him in? No, he's in the hospital. She paused for a moment. I'm still visiting him. I don't know why. My friend, she's so distant now, so consumed with what she set out to do. She barely even speaks to me anymore. I guess I just needed someone. And even after everything he did, he was all I had. Why do I get the feeling your friend's warpath and your ex's thing are connected? Might have to start drinking again myself. I think I should go. My folks are going to be furious if I stay any later. Here, she said, handing him some bits for the drinks before walking off. Oh, and thanks for listening. Buck, you awake? Prim asked quietly as she entered his room. He's already starting to recover, but she made a point of being gentle around him, even though she wasn't sure why. Prim, he managed, his voice slightly groggy. Thought visiting hours were over. They are, but I wanted to see you again. Snowy's out on the prowl, so I thought now was the time. Besides, these days you're the only one I can still talk to. She's changed, Buck. I'm afraid of her now, and I'm scared for you too. Aren't you worried your boss will find you? Bolt Buck closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He already has. He thinks he can use me as leverage to get the mare-do-well. What are you gonna do? You think he'll kill you if he finds out what you've been doing? Normally I'd say no, but you're not the only one who scared him, Prim. He's scared. There's an element in his city he has absolutely no control over, and he doesn't like that. He's getting more and more violent just to stop her. Boltbuck swallowed, his mouth dry. He even sprung Bloodshot out of the asylum. He's that desperate. Buck, if things get any worse, I want to move to Appaloosa. And Celestia, help me. I want you to come as well. I'm a terrible mare, Boltbuck. Even after what you've done, I'm a traitor, and when she finds out, I have no idea what she'll do. That's why, if things get any worse, I want to run away with you. Forget Manhattan. Forget the past, and just run, she said, collapsing into a chair in the corner of the room. But why? I've done nothing but ruin everything around me, and it all started with one stupid mistake. You should be with your friend, not me. She's become obsessed with finding the others. She has no time for anything else. Honestly, she's starting to frighten me. As for you, hating you won't bring Frosty back. I loved him more than I've ever loved anyone, but he's gone. I don't want to lose you too. She sighed. Don't be afraid of her. Boltbuck laid down and stared up at the ceiling. That mare, she deserves her revenge. As far as I know, I'm officially off her radar. As long as I play nice and give her what I can. Oh, Bloodshot. Next time you see her, tell her to come here. I need to tell her about him. No, warn her about him. I will. Buck, please be careful. If your boss finds out, he may not spare you like Snowy did, Prim said, walking away. Mrs. Orange? Yes? Oh, it's so late, dear. Isn't your family worried? You're usually home by now. I just have an important message for your daughter. Please tell her that Buck needs to speak to her. It's urgent. I'll be sure to tell her when she gets done for the night, Annabelle Orange said casually, noting the look of surprise on the young mare's face. Oh, I figured it out a week ago, my dear. The late nights, the bruises, and I found her costume stuffed away in the back of her drawer. She could hide the suit, but not the smell. The older mare smiled sweetly. It seemed like nothing could get by her in the long run. She's out looking for them, I guess, Prim said after a moment. I hope she doesn't get too far. She's been getting angrier and angrier these last few nights, and I have a bad feeling about tonight in particular. She gulped, staring up at the cold white face of the moon. She'll be smart in the end, Mrs. Orange said, almost serenely. I hear the guard is looking for her now. Mrs. Orange, one of the four she's going up against is very, very dangerous. Even as strong as she is, he's a psychopath with impossible strength, and the Red Hoof has seen him released from the asylum. I remember his name in the newspapers. Bloodshot. I'm quite sure my daughter can handle herself, the older mare said fondly. I know I have no right to ask this, but why are you letting her do this? Aren't you afraid of losing her? I mean, Frosty tried fighting back and... I'm sorry. That was out of line, she said, almost regretting the question. And how do I stop her? Mrs. Orange snapped. Ground her? She knows how to get out of here. Take the suit away? She'll find something else to wear. Forbid her for wanting justice? She'll resent me and go after them. No. All I can do is be supportive. It's better than the last resort option. What's that? There's another way? It must be pretty dire if this is preferable to it, Prim asked. The last thing I can do is betray every last ounce of her trust and turn her in. I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to do that. Quite honestly, my dear, I feel she's justified. If she was going around being the criminal, then yes, she would be gone. There's a third option. Buck. He knows about the others. He told me their names, where to find them. I've only kept myself from telling the guard that information because I'm scared of what Snowy would do to Buck if she found out he'd betrayed her. You seem to be at quite the impasse here, Mrs. Orange said. What should I do, Mrs. Orange? I don't want to betray her trust either, and these bastards deserve to face justice. But what matters more? That she gets her revenge her way, or that she remains safe but forever denied the chance to hurt them? She deserves that chance. I know it. I'd be doing the same thing in her situation. But if she gets hurt and I knew I could have made all the difference, should I take that risk? After a moment of tense silence, the dame spoke. You will do what you feel is right. And so will she. 5. This is your chance. Pelleas' mind raced as he landed on the rooftop, with the mare-do-well only a few feet away, her back to him. As far as he knew, she hadn't yet taken advantage of that information pipeline he'd set up, and this information was too delicate to be trusted in anything less than a face-to-face meeting. He still couldn't believe how easy it had been. By the same token, he had straight up lied to Captain Leaf. When he found out, well, too late to worry about that now. I have new information for you, Pelleas said, walking up to the still form of the mare-do-well, balanced precariously on the lip of the roof. It's regarding Facade. He was answered only by silence. Yes. Well, apparently he frequents a warehouse on the docks. Still only silence. Maybe some tactic of hers? He cocked his head at her, tuft ears forward. Usually she would have at least given him a cursory response. Maybe she's really upset about something. He's there now. Maybe we could both check it out? You could use an extra hoof now and again. After a few seconds of no response, he moved closer, reaching out to tap her on the shoulder. Mere moments later, his world was a blur as she grabbed him, throwing him hard from the rooftop as she awoke. Oh no, oh crap, she thought as she realized what she had done. She rushed to the side of the building, but couldn't bring herself to look down. Stupid. If he's dead. Pelleas hovered back up on his wings, the serious deadpan of his expression completely ruined by the rotting banana peel on top of his head. Snowstorm thanked every goddess for the mask, for she had to bite down on her lip to keep from bursting out in silent laughter. He looked almost adorable. I'm so sorry. It was my training. It's become automatic. I almost wish I couldn't react that quickly, she scribbled hastily. Are you hurt? No, he gritted through grit teeth. The dumpster broke my fall. Pelleas thought he could hear a snort come from underneath that blasted mask of hers. What was it you wanted to talk about? She asked after a few minutes of awkward silence, where she had to fight hard to regain her composure. Have you found anything I can use? He nodded, telling her all he had heard from Captain Leaf. Thanks. Now I have to go it alone. This is my fight. I know you want to help, but please, when the time comes, let me bring them down alone. For my brother. Pelleas focused on one word, and one word only in that short note. Brother. A clue, he thought, racking his brain. The old murder case had gone cold years ago. They knew there had been a sister, and she returned after what everyone had assumed was time spent living with other family. The gears in his mind turned. Sure, there had been a few killings since, but it was far too coincidental. Flint's words from a week ago blew up in his mind. They'd been out on patrol, as per usual, and the lieutenant actually seemed sober for a change.
Poor filly,
he had said as they walked.
The orange kid, you know? Can't imagine. Seeing her own brother. And as a filly, I can't really blame her for not remembering a thing. Hell, I wish I could forget about it.
Snowstorm cocked her head, wondering what had suddenly made the Fulake so lost in thought. She pondered it for a few minutes, before writing one last note. Let's make a deal. If your information about Facade is legitimate, then you'll have gained my trust, and that means I'll tell you who I am. But if you're lying, I'll make you my next priority target. He shook his head, coming back to reality. It seemed as though one last piece of a puzzle clicked into place for him. Now he had a one-up on her. But the only thing to do was level the playing field. Prove to her she could trust him. Don't worry, it's good. He leaned in close, whispering the next two words. Snowstorm. She had never been more grateful for the mask than at that moment, for her face betrayed an expression of incredible surprise. Fighting down the urge to attack, she instead shrugged as casually as she could manage, before taking off into the night. Well, crap, Pelleas muttered into the still night. Guess I better go tell Flint I've got other plans. 6. Pelleas landed more or less gracefully next to his temporary partner, his chest pumping only a bit rapidly as he caught his wind. Wow, he murmured, though there was no one but the two of them on the rooftop. Slow down a bit, will you? This armor's heavy. They peered across the skyline, looking down at the miles-long Manhattan Pier. Snowstorm frowned under her mask. The guard next to her had mentioned Facade being in a warehouse, but not which warehouse. She had, once again, let her excitement take over, automatically assuming the place would be a ghost town. How wrong she had been. The pier was alive with probably 100 or more ponies. Some were sailors, but most were undoubtedly dock workers. A long string of warehouses lined the port, all of them lit up and active. She glanced over at Pelleas, cocking her head and shrugging her shoulders. How am I supposed to find him in this? She silently asked. If he didn't have an answer. Well, we could just ask. Most of the warehouse workers run a legit business, and they'll all know each other. I'm sure if I just told them the guard needed to ask him a few questions, he'd either come out or run away. Either way, he wouldn't stay in the warehouses. Actually, we might have better odds finding him if we both searched a different warehouse first. If I find him before you, I'll keep him busy so he won't leave before you get there. After a moment of mulling it over in her head, Snowstorm finally wrote down, Flush him out. I'll handle the rest. Don't start a riot. It'll give him a chance to escape in the chaos, Pelleas warned her as he went off to speak with one of the workers nearby. Excuse me, sir, but do you know a worker called Facade? The guard need to ask him a few questions. It's a matter of urgency, Pelleas asked a tired stallion smoking under a street lamp. Facade? I might know him, or I might not. What's it to you? Pelleas sighed, recalling that Flint had told him once that sometimes a bribe was the only way to get important information. I hope this is the only time I have to resort to this. 50 bits, if you know where I can find him, Pelleas replied. 50, eh? That's 2 weeks' worth of work in this ratty city. All right, I know the guy, full of himself. Works inside Warehouse 19. And by works, I mean barks orders like he's a big shot and then naps in an office. Thank you. Pelleas handed him the money. And we never met. Got that? Hey, I ought to tell you. Got a soft spot in my heart for the guard. My brother's one, so this comes free. That Facade guy is one of the Red Hoof's lackeys. Be careful with him. Oh, it's not me he'll have to worry about. Pelleas grinned before taking off to find Snowstorm. Mare-do-well? Pelleas called out from the rooftops. After a few minutes, she appeared. Warehouse 19. I suppose you'd rather I'd stayed out of this part. I'm fine with keeping my distance as long as you notify me when you're done, so he can face the jail time he deserves. While Pelleas had been gone, she pulled her mask off for a breath of fresh air. Now she looked over at the guard, eyebrow half cocked. Do you really think there'll be anything left of him? Her face asked, with a smirk that was almost a sneer. So I was actually right? Huh. You're prettier in the moonlight. Good luck. He blushed, turning his head away. She rolled her eyes, swiftly and lightly, smacking him in the back of the head, and shook her own. Hey, save the violence for the guy who actually deserves it. He laughed softly as she took off for the warehouse. Boss, this ain't smart. You heard about the stallion who the mare-do-well thought was you, right? She damn near punched his lights out, one of Facade's friends said as they walked the warehouse perimeter together. So what? You want me to be scared of some psycho bitch on her little crusade? I own this town. She touches me, and I can make life very, very uncomfortable for her. Huh? Facade turned and noted his friend was already several feet away, running as fast as he could. Son of a... he began, before the shadowy figure he had dreaded appeared before him from above. Damn it! Now listen here, you crazy broad. I'm untouchable. The guard are in my pocket. The mare's on my leash. And if I ever find out who you are, you're dead. So why don't you take off like a good little filly, The mare-do-well merely stared through her mask, not moving. Facade glanced all around, looking for his backup, but the warehouse was completely empty except for the two. The cowards had all abandoned him. They'd need a disciplining after he was through with his costume joker. "What are you after? You want money? Fine," he grumbled, throwing her his wallet. "There you go, hero. Robbing a guy blind, some savior of the city you are." She deliberately stepped on the wallet as she walked slowly towards Facade. "Damn it, you can't prove nothing. I'm a free pony. You can't accuse me of anything without proof. Ain't you got—" He began to sweat as he was backed into a corner, desperately trying to think of what to say. "Ain't you got real crooks to catch? Some pony out there that could be bleeding to death in an alleyway or something." She ran her booted hoof across his mouth at that one, feeling her eye twitch. As he reeled, she brought out the picture of her brother that she always carried, holding it to him to see and remember. "So, am I supposed to remember this, chum? I met a lot of ponies in my time. Who the hell is this, and why should I care?" he remarked callously, knocking the photo out of her grasp. In a flash, she struck him square in the mouth, and in a fury nearly tore her mask as she ripped it off, showing him her face. "Ain't you heroes—" he wheezed, wiping the blood from his swelling cheek. "Ain't you heroes supposed to rise above it? Petty revenge and shit? I mean, sure, I made a mistake, but does that mean I gotta die too? What's that gonna solve?" He shook his head, trying to clear away the dizziness that had beset him. It seemed he had gained a sort of bravery only those that knew their end was in sight could attain. She snorted her amusement at his twisted idea of logic and pulled her boots off. The softened blows from the foam padding would be far too good for the cretin. Before she could even begin, however, a hard blow swept the side of her face, as though a brick had smashed into her. She barrel-rolled a few times, stopping herself on her feet. The room rapidly spun, and she poised into a defensive stance as 3 swirling images all coalesced into one mighty stallion. "Bloodshot!" she fairly heard Facade cry out. "Get her, man!"
"Don't remember you calling the shots."
Bloodshot stared at the mare as he spoke, before breaking into a mad grin.
"Heard you were tough. Let's see just how true the rumors were."
He dashed forward with an alarming speed, his movement almost too quick to register, and easily too fast to predict. He didn't seem to be using any style in particular, but he was so fast that it hardly mattered. Snowstorm barely blocked a strong blow from the left, and the subsequent headbutt took her completely by surprise.
"Is that it? The city's gotten soft while I was inside if they can't even handle you,"
he sneered. Snowstorm staggered back, grimacing. The mountain of a stallion charged again. She rolled to the side, barely getting out of his way. "This guy's a beast." She shook away the dizziness and poised herself, galloping at Bloodshot and driving a hoof into his chest, forcing a wheeze out of him. All it did was make him angrier.
"They said you were invincible. Guess they must have forgot about me."
He grinned wickedly before dashing forward, sending her flying with a powerful hit to her chest. "Sis, it's hopeless. You can't take him yet. Run!" Froststorm pleaded from inside her head as she got to her feet, wheezing. Her vision began to blur. She began to realize the truth of his words. This wasn't a pony. It was a demon, and it was far angrier than what she could muster at the moment. He doesn't look so tough. She barely kept herself up on her own legs, going completely on the defensive now.
"I'll give you this much. You're no coward. Most ponies run after the first punch. The ones that ain't already dead, that is."
He laughed cruelly, circling the mare like a shark. After a few seconds, he charged, Snowstorm having plenty of time to roll out of the way for once. She lashed out, landing a powerful double-barrel kick on the back of the calf of his lower leg. He winced and fell forward, using the same leg to land a lucky shot to her stomach. She reeled, grimacing at her cramping belly and dry heaving beneath her mask. "Sis, if you don't run this one time, you're gonna die. Please, sis, I'd be happier with you alive and me unavenged than that," her brother begged. "No," she responded, ignoring how ridiculous it was that she was essentially arguing with herself. "I can still do this." The combatants both regained their ground and charged each other once again. "Pelleas!" Flint called out, flying above the buildings. The damned cadet just kept running off lately, and the lieutenant was growing tired of it. "Damn it, not now," Pelleas winced. He knew hiding from a fellow Fulake was futile, but he needed to reach Snowstorm. Reports had been coming in about a fight breaking out in the lower downtown district, and judging from the descriptions, there was only one pony it could be. Still, Flint might have his uses. "Sir," he called from a nearby rooftop, "one of our own is engaged in a fight not far from here. I need you to let me borrow a distress flare. I know those are only for emergencies, but they're up against one of the criminals on our most wanted list. Bloodshot. They'll be slaughtered if no help arrives soon.
One of ours. No ponies patrolling around here tonight.
Do you want to argue the details and let a fellow guard die, or are you going to let me call in the bloody reinforcements? Sir, he said, embarrassed at his sudden outburst. Flint reeled. The kid rarely ever got so worked up about anything.
All right,
he said, landing near Pelleas.
I'll give you the flare, but you're going to tell me the damn truth about everything, got it?
All right, but I need you to keep some of this from the captain. No need to lie, just never bring it up if he asks. It's important, but for now I need that flare. Taking the flare from his commanding officer, Pelleas fired it high into the air in the direction of the fight. Within minutes, every guard in the city would be there, and even a brute like Bloodshot couldn't handle those numbers by himself. Thank you, sir. Tonight the drinks are on me. Now let's head out there ourselves. Afterwards, I'll tell you everything, I promise. He smiled.
What's the matter? Slowing down already?
Bloodshot taunted his opponent. After half an hour, she had barely dented his defenses, and she was running out of steam. She had never encountered an opponent that could shrug off this sort of punishment before, and a small part of her was relishing the chance to give him everything she had, without fear of going too far.
What in the...
He suddenly noticed the bolt of red neon streak across the sky, and was transfixed, completely distracted for a moment. She took her chance, sending a pair of rear hooves straight into his jaw, feeling the hard bone crack and splinter under a blow. The stallion clutched his jaw in agony, stumbling away and yelling incomprehensibly. For the briefest moment, Snowstorm felt she had struck the decisive blow. To her horror, he turned, still clutching his fractured jaw, and grinned toothily.
Haven't felt pain that good in a while,
he mumbled, apparently now a psychopath and a masochist.
Come here, let me return the favor,
he said, slowly approaching her. Mare-do-well, we're here to help, a voice came from the rooftops. Yeah, can't let you have all the fun, said another from behind them. Within seconds, several guards had surrounded the pair, with crossbows tracked on each of them. Wait a minute, Mare's voice called out, filled with recognition. Ayla stood there, a fury in her eyes at the sight of the monstrous stallion that stood before her. She slowly began to shake with years' worth of repressed rage, sorrow, and guilt. That's Bloodshot! You monster! Ayla, the guard are forbidden to kill, Pelleas shouted, more of a warning than a reminder.
Oh, you want me taken alive?
Bloodshot interrupted, deeply amused by it all.
I think the city's forgotten me, if it thinks it has to worry about a bunch of brittle-boned bats bringing me down.
He's too dangerous to be kept alive, and you know it, Ayla yelled, never taking her eyes off the beast. And don't think you can stop me, she added to the mare-do-well.
That's adorable. Your champion is a wreck, and you think you stand a chance? I'm gonna save you for last, girl. Let you watch as I tear through the whole damn guard, just like last time. Ah, the memories.
He cackled heartlessly. I almost hope she fires just to wipe the smile off his face, Pelleas thought to himself as he witnessed the scene. I'll do it! The crossbow began to tremble slightly as Ayla's body shook. For a terrible moment, it seemed as though she would never gain the strength to fire, but a pebble thrown from the shadows struck her back, making her fire straight into the beast's shoulder in reaction. Bloodshot's eyes widened as he looked at the wound in shock. As soon as the rest of the guards saw, they realized his invulnerability was no more than a myth, and one after another took aim, their bolts ready to join the lieutenants in the monster's hide. Ayla stood there, transfixed as her fellow guards began a steady hail of arrows with careful precision. Bloodshot roared a bestial scream as a flurry of bolts descended on him in his wake. Snowstorm noted at least a handful made their mark, though the beast of a pony barely slowed as he fled into the night. Once the beast was out of sight along with half the guard, she spoke at last, having regained her composure. Mare-do-well, you are under arrest, is what I'm supposed to say, Ayla said as she turned to the mare. Sweat dampened her gray coat, and she still seemed a bit shaky. But, frankly, I don't see you breaking any laws out here tonight. Any of you disagree? She turned to her comrades on the rooftops. There was a chorus of nope, no ma'am, and the like. They all knew that Lieutenant Ayla almost always got her way, and scattered. I'm guessing you owe Pell one for tonight. Nice to show what the guard can really do, too. We could use a few more nights like these. Well, I certainly know I could, she grinned. Tonight had given her more peace of mind than the years she had spent in therapy trying to forget her past. Sorry to say this, but from here on out it'll be a race. My boys and I will be working flat out to find him and bring him down. Speaking of which, I had best go catch up with them. I can't lose anyone else to that animal. Good night, she saluted before flying off.
Glad I showed up. I knew she'd need a little encouragement to actually shoot him.
Flint grinned as he walked from the spot the pebble was thrown. Mare-do-well, you're all right, Pelleas said, arriving at last. How did it go? Even if she had the vocal capacity to answer, Snowstorm wouldn't have been able to. She heaved out a massive sigh of relief and promptly collapsed.